All right, everybody, welcome to a big-time special to Strategic Crypto, AZcrypto and MrFOMO. Hit that like, smash that subscribe button. Chats and Superstar are open. Please share the show at some point today and help us as we march ahead to 2,000 subs. Huge Bitcoin recovery right after we went off the air, MrFOMO. We were talking about this. All the good news started to trickle in. We talked about the state of Wisconsin. We talked about Vanguard. And now, if you look, MrFOMO, here we go. 66K, a lot of it in the last 48 hours. Now, what we didn't tell our viewers is you got permission to buy some Bitcoin after the show. And so that amount really pushed it over the top. Just kidding. A little Friday humor for you. You should have seen his face.
Thank you.
We didn't talk
Thank
about
you
that.
for all of you.
We didn't talk about pre-show, but here we go. 66K. Can we hold? Are we going straight back to 70? Those are great questions, but it's wonderful to see right in between our Wednesday and Friday show here.
Yeah, in answer to your question, I think we're going to grind sideways a little bit longer. I don't think we're going to get above 70 here in the next month or so. But I do expect some serious action out of Bitcoin later this year. But for right now, it's going to be kind of boring. You know, this week, after we said we were going to have some excitement, we had some excitement. Now it's kind of cooling off and going through another phase where it's just, like I said, grinding sideways.
I will say this, though. Here's what I'm going to say. Today marks 8 weeks of price action below 74, right? It's 66. All the doom and gloom, you're still at 66,000. Now, I will say this. All it takes is one big news story. What if another state follows the cheeseheads of Wisconsin? That's all I'll say. And Mr. Bitcoin is still buying Bitcoin every single day. What if that name is revealed? So, yes, I do not expect, and this is where our show, we are going to give you some amazing bullish news in just a second here. So hold on. We're not going to be pessimistic on this show. I don't expect us to hit 70K when we wake up Saturday morning. However, it would not shock me if we got some big news, if we kept on going higher. I don't think we're headed to 75 this month. I hope I'm wrong. All right. I still think, yes, I agree with you. There's some sideways action. But if we can hold even just 60K, that makes mid to late summer and into September and October extremely bullish for me. We'll talk about it in just a little bit. But I agree with you. Be careful. So if a show is telling you they're going to hit 100, 200K in the next couple of weeks, honestly, they're just going for clicks. We pride ourselves in being honest. Are we always right? Unfortunately, no. It would be amazing if we were, but we try to do our best. And we're going to tell you today when we think Bitcoin will hit 100,000. It's not if, it's a matter of when. So I'm going to give 2 predictions. I'm going to give a conservative prediction, and I'm going to give what you will love, everybody, bullish prediction. Remember, if you love this channel, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Now, MrFOMO, here is my bullish prediction for Bitcoin first. Okay? How would you like an October 5th date for 100K? And let me explain my reasoning. I think late August, September, and October is going to be very, very Bitcoin friendly. You've got, like you talked about last show, the election, but you got the run up to the election. You're going to have some good economic numbers come out. You're going to have Bitcoin march over 80K, march over 85K. People are going to be talking about it. It's going to be in the news. You're going to have what you love, FOMO. And that, in my bullish scenario, will drive Bitcoin over 100K before Halloween, early October, towards the beginning of the baseball playoffs, end of the first month of the football season. I've got us going in my bullish scenario over 100K in October. Now, remember, this is my bullish scenario, right? Now, could it happen before? Absolutely. But I like this. I do believe, however, I don't want to rain on anyone's parade. We will have a pullback, a major one, before we get to 100K. Even with that, in my bullish scenario, I could see us going over 100K October 5th or October 10th this year, 2024.
Well, I think I'm glad we didn't discuss this too much before the show, because I 100% agree with your bullish scenario. But I think I had it written down that I was going to 100K by Halloween. And I'll give you a few reasons why. The macro, I think, is going to get better. First of all, the economy is getting better. The S&P, I think, hit 40,000 for the first time ever. You've got rate cuts that will be coming down the line. Like I said, the CPI numbers are improving, or will be improving by that time, hopefully. At least the Gaza war, I expect to calm down by then because of international pressure. I don't think international pressure is going to work with the Russian war. I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope both wars are done and over with soon. But I think at least the Gaza war will be calmed down because of international pressure. I think that the FTX money that is re-entering the market, the 14 billion, I think a lot of that is going to, or excuse me, that are the FTX money that's going to the FTX customers, the 14 to 16 billion. I think a lot of that is going to head back into the crypto market. Those people have missed out on this opportunity cost, and they're going to want to recoup that. And so I think when you see those checks go out along with the Voyager checks, I think a lot of that is going to re-enter the market, and you're going to see a big boost. But I think that you'll also see, and I've said this before, I think you'll also see the federal government starting to print stimulus checks before the end of the year, just to butter up those voters before the vote. So I think all of those things plus more will kind of create a perfect storm and drive Bitcoin to 100 by Halloween.
Now, my
I
more
don't think,
conservative.
let me before I get too far, I don't think we'll stay at 100. I think it's such a huge psychological level that once we hit 100, we're going to head back down pretty quickly. And so I think there will be a lot of people taking profits at that point, and I would encourage people to at least look into taking profits when we get to 100K, because that's going to be a huge, huge, huge psychological level. And I could see us taking a huge dip after that. So I see 100K brush in October and then back to it again in the following year.
My bullish scenario is October. My conservative scenario, February 2025. And the reason for that is there could be a pullback that lasts a long time. We just saw one, and it's not over because we haven't gone back to the high 73s for 8 weeks. So I am different than you. I expect a pullback before we get to 100K, but then we get over 100K, clear it well, and then a pullback later in 2025, a second big one. But I do think we're in for at least one major pullback after we heat up, hopefully. And I don't want to get too deep into this. Innocent people stop being killed, and we do have some peace. And you know what? Bitcoin is about humanity. It's about giving people a fair shot economically, right? So in the spirit of Bitcoin, I really do hope innocent people stop getting killed. And I do believe Bitcoin either will get over 100K in October, or it will get over 100K in 2025, February. Those are my two major predictions. I would be shocked if we did not get over 100K during this bull run. Originally, I was thinking 90K. And I said this when we were in the 20s, remember. I said 90K this year, and then we would top off at 100 later in 2025. I've changed that. I do think 100K is on the table for this year. Now, before we leave the show, I want to talk about Chainlink, because Chainlink, Mr. FOMO, is going to do well. And it's really been struggling. But we talked about things in crypto. It's not what you buy, it's when you buy. You remember the HBAR news that turned out to be fake? Well, in the last 24 hours, actually in the last 12 hours, Chainlink is up 18 to 20% as it launches Wall Street Pilot with JP Morgan, BNY Mellon, and DTTC. It's announced that a tokenization pilot with Wall Street giants like these just happened. We've talked about Chainlink before. It's one of those where it struggles and struggles and struggles forever. And then when it goes quickly. With full disclosure, right now I don't have any exposure to Chainlink. I'm looking at some other projects I think are going to do better over the next few months. I've, been honest about those. But, we've talked about having Bitcoin exposure for stability. We've talked about having ETH exposure for stability. By the way, ETH is going to have a huge fall. We'll talk about that in another show. We've talked about having exposure to Solana. If you also want something that's going to, and this one's a little bit different than those because this one you have to even be more aggressive over profits. But if you want something that's going to steadily climb and going to guarantee you some green, and it's not going to do 100x, but it's going to give you a nice 2x at some point in the fall and a safe one, this definitely fits that criteria.
It's still an Oracle play, despite the fact that a lot of projects have started their own oracles. Chainlink has remained strong as the oracle that these projects want to go to. And so you see like Cardano has their own oracle, but that hasn't tarnished Chainlink shine at all. As a matter of fact, they're launching pilots with Wall Street, JP Morgan, BNY Mellon. And so that kind of news is very bullish, not just for Chainlink, but for the entire crypto market. You're talking about companies or banks that previously were anti-crypto. JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon were open about their hate for crypto. And to see this happening is a huge 180.
Well, they're publicly, but privately, they've been accumulating Bitcoin during this 8 weeks. That's the crazy part. Yeah, you watch what people do, not necessarily watch what people say. It's in their best interest for Bitcoin to cool down. They want to get as much Bitcoin as they can. They loved it when Bitcoin hit 56K. Remember that show I came on, Bitcoin at 56K? I said, guys, this is great because if you're new to the show, new to the program, it's a great chance to accumulate. And we were dead right. Well, 10 days later, you're sitting at 66 from 56. That's a significant jump. Always zoom out. We did the year out, zoom out, but if you did that. Now, again, we're not telling you Bitcoin's going to hit 80K soon. We're not telling you Chainlink's going to hit 30. There was a great question from Tennessee, one of our loyal viewers. Thank you so much to all of you. Would you sell AVAX to join Link? I don't necessarily. I think AVAX is also going to be in the same kind of category. I don't know. AVAX has a smaller cap, so I'm not sure that I would do that. I kind of feel the same about both. I feel like both are going to be steady risers. I might give AVAX just a slight nod, maybe. Avalanche right now, you're looking at 14 billion market cap, and Chainlink, you've got a market cap. Actually, excuse me, Chainlink does have a smaller market cap. I'm so used to Chainlink from the last cycle being above Avalanche. They flipped. That's a great question. Maybe Chainlink does, because here's the thing. All-time high for Avalanche was 52. I think it'll get over that. All right. All-time high for Chainlink. Sorry, all-time high for Chainlink was 52. My bad. All-time high for Avalanche was 147. I do think Avalanche has a little more runway here, just my opinion, but I think they're kind of similar category, so it's hard to say. I think they're both going to be steady risers. I would be aggressive at taking profits on both. You look at circulating supply right now, there's 382 million Avalanche, and there is 587 million Chainlink. So give the bit of advantage to Avalanche there. Previous price history in the last bull run, give the advantage to Avalanche. However, Chainlink has been consolidating for a really, really long time, even more than Avalanche at a lower price. So I could see the thing here, but I don't think it's a huge discrepancy between either, to be honest with you, Tennessee.
And I wouldn't go chasing this pump, and I think that's he probably knows full well because he's pretty much like our second co-host on the show. He gives us so much good information. But I wouldn't go chasing that because just like with the other partnerships before, we found out within 48 hours that there were not necessarily that they weren't good partnerships or that they weren't partnerships, but that the other side, like JP Morgan, wasn't that willing to come out and claim partnership or
Yeah, so be
That big of
careful.
a partnership. So be careful. It could, within the next few hours or the next few days, turn around pretty
In
quickly.
the next few minutes after we leave the show.
Right.
Guys, listen, whatever you're doing right now, do us a huge favor. And we thank you so much for doing this a couple days ago. Stop, share the show with someone, get them into Bitcoin, help them out if they're not already. But we are driving the bus towards 2,000 subs, and we appreciate all your support. So for Mr. FOMO, this is AZcrypto. You guys have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you later. Have a great one, everybody.
See ya.